Hello all, welcome to another couch episode. Today we have our lovely guest, Max, from the Pride Center. Max, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Oh, I would love to. So my name is Max, my pronouns are he, him, his, and as Jay says, I work at the Pride Center. Specifically, I'm a social media coordinator. And at the moment, I am studying communications. So that's a little bit about me. Max, would you like to continue?
I am Max. I work at the Mosaic Cross-Cultural Center. I am a cultural programmer here, and I am a materials engineer, and my pronouns are he, him.
And my name is Aisha. I'm also a cultural programs coordinator here with Mosaic. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I am currently studying environmental studies, prep for teaching. Yeah, passing it to Jace.
Hello, my name is Jace. I use they, them pronouns. I am a cultural programmer also at Mosaic, and I am not a computer science major. I'm a sociology major. I escaped from computer science.
It still has you, a little bit. You're like, what?
As you can see, we're at 50% max.
Hey!
But yeah, who wants to get us started off with what we're talking about today?
So today we're talking about environmental justice and how planned obsolescence has effectively taken over the entire world and produces so much environmental waste. Many people don't know about planned obsolescence and how it affects, but you've certainly felt the effects of planned obsolescence and how it is a part of everyone's lives. If you've had an iPhone, when there's a new iPhone, like you have an iPhone 12 and the iPhone 13 comes out, there's that update that slows down your phone a lot. So that is an example of modern planned obsolescence. We're just going to go over a brief history and just general topics, just a very brief overview of it, just to make sure everybody knows what we're talking about. So, for example, Max, if I say planned obsolescence, what comes to your mind?
Nothing.
Nothing.
I have no...
That's perfect.
Lovely.
That's perfect.
It sounds bad.
It is bad. It is bad. It's just...
Well, I'm glad that I'm on the right track then.
It's basically just capitalism run amok. All it does is it's an intentional design flaw built into a product, something to slow it down over time or breaks over time. It started with light bulbs. A bunch of light bulb companies came together and decided that, hey, we're losing profits. Nobody's buying light bulbs anymore because they lasted too long. So they got all their engineers to make sure that their light bulbs roughly lasted the same amount of time. And then that was the beginning. So now you jump ahead all the way to iPhones, like I was talking about, where the design changes slightly, or it slows down, or they get rid of the USB and change it to their specific version of a port. So that's modern examples of planned obsolescence. In some ways it affects waste because we're having to buy new phones all the time. The corporations heavily imply that you need to buy a new one when it's broken. They don't really give you the right to repair either. Those are some of the things we're going to talk about. Jace, can you address how corporations take advantage of planned obsolescence to push it on to people, basically?
Yeah, so for one, I definitely wouldn't call it a design flaw. It is very intentional and it's doing what it's meant to do. Like, it's not a bug that they discover. It's like, oh, we can capitalize it. They actually designed this around the fact that it's like, oh, we need to make more money. So it's very much hyper-capitalism, like, in play. Mm-hmm. So a lot of it is having companies, like, being able to push out new products every year. Some planned obsolescence is tied to the fact it's like oh, we have this like one new feature, or we have an extra camera, and then because they're not really adding anything, they need to incentivize people to buy it by you breaking their phone that they just bought a year ago, basically. So one example that we have right here is Aisha's MacBook. It does not have a USB port in which we have to plug the mic into.
Oh my god.
So they have to sell us dongles, which I think is a dumb name. for thing.
I think
but
it's a very fun name.
it's fun, but it's also like no one's like. If you told me like 15 years ago, it's like you need a dongle. I'm like, what the
What
hell
is
is a
that?
dongle? So
Sounds
yeah.
fun.
Like the fact that you need to buy a dongle or like extra accessories, this is also part of plant obsolescence. And when Max on the end of the couch talks about the right to repair, is basically laws that have been enacted in some places where you have the ability to take your phone somewhere to repair, or even just to repair yourself.
Yeah.
So it's the ability to like own your hardware and be able to be knowledgeable about your hardware, and also be able to like fix it or upgrade it or to make changes to it that you want, which is similar to how Android plans are set, but they're not exempt from planned obsolescence.
I mean, Apple definitely, like, they led the way. They showed everybody, hey, here's how you make the most money. And then all the other corporations, Samsung, for example, started to follow suit, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're switching everything to USB-C. They started slowing, their phones slow down as well. There was a big controversy when Apple, like when people started finding out that Apple was doing this, like in 2006. This is like the beginning of YouTube. You know, everybody knows who Casey Neistat is, right?
Oh, yeah.
Casey Neistat. He's kind of an annoying YouTuber. Originally, now he's an annoying YouTuber. Back in the day, he actually was trying to draw attention to the fact that the battery for the, like, you couldn't remove the battery on like the iPod 1 or 2 or something, whatever the one was, 2006, and its battery life was only 18 months. It only lasted 18 months. But they wouldn't let you take out the battery. You know, that's another thing. Like, now we can't take out the batteries of our phones. Mm-hmm. That's a big thing that Apple pushed for, and it really, really hurts right to repair and consumer rights. Like, it hurts you as a consumer. It hurts you, Max, as a consumer. Like, you're not able to keep your phone for longer periods, and then that leads to more environmental waste, which I'm going to bring that into Aisha. So, you have anything to say about the environmental waste of phones, for example?
Well, there's a lot that I could touch on when it comes to waste, but yes, it's a big factor to consider when, for one, we have to spend extra money to buy a new phone that is still possibly, you know, a good phone to use, but there's just little things that we can't necessarily use, and that means, again, we have to spend more money to get a new one. So it hurts our pockets, and then it comes down to, like, you know, environmental justice factors where not a lot of people are able to buy those new phones that Apple is assuming that people can do, right? Where, okay, our software is dying, now I can buy a new phone. No, it doesn't work like that. So yes, to counter in the facts that there is waste that is building, e-waste is a controversial topic because it's like, where are we going to put it? Where do people, you know, take their old phones? They have the option of trading it in, but not a lot of people are able to do that. So it's just a matter of accessibility and, you know, communication. But then again, we don't get a lot of that. It's just profit. Take my money. Take my money.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Yeah, like electronic waste is already really bad. Like, you
Yeah.
know, like with batteries, just like the little like lithium batteries or like the AAAs or AA's, like those were already not supposed to put in the trash because if they leak, they like destroy our environment.
Mm-hmm.
Like we won't have clean water, our food won't grow, like all these things, or like it can affect air pollution. So like these things are already an issue, and then you multiply it with all the electronics we change out.
Yeah.
Every single like year at this point, to be honest.
And it's getting shorter and shorter. It feels like
Yeah.
every 6 months now. It's like, oh, there's a new phone. The new phone I got to get. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's so many different phone companies, and they're all doing the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
They're all promoting this type of consumption and waste, and it really leads into a world where we're like, we can't do anything. You know, we need to have a right to repair would alleviate this so much. Because you would have a phone, and instead of it lasting for like a year or two, it's going to last for like 5 years. Because they're going to let you repair it, let you upgrade it. You know, it extends the lifespan of that phone and completely gets rid of this wasteful, profit-focused business model that's happening right now. Max, how do you feel about what we're talking
Well,
about?
it feels
I haven't
even
let you
more.
talk in a bit.
I'm so good. It feels even more frustrating because it's like, I feel like similar to like social media at the moment. There's like a lot of like, there's not a lot of an accountability at all with any of this.
Yeah.
And like, I understand that this is like quote unquote fairly new, but I feel like that excuse is starting to wear thin by now. Because it's like, can we have like laws and things to like be put in place so these companies just don't do whatever they want? Because it seems like that's what that is what they're doing.
Yeah.
And like, then you have like a bunch of, no offense to old people in politics, but just a bunch of really old people that are unaware of what is happening. Like, I know I keep using the social media example, but like I feel like that's a relevant one because that does connect with technology, especially with the progress of technology.
Yeah.
And this feels like it's a newer problem. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if this has been a thing for a while and it's just evolved. But this feels like it's like a lot more consistent with like newer technology, especially with Apple.
Yeah.
Like I remember like 2 years ago they tried to sell like a stand for like the
The very expensive stand.
and you're like, what is this?
Or
it's like $2,000?
the wheels,
Yeah.
wheels for the Mac, the desktop Mac or whatever. That was like, it was like $500 per wheel or something crazy
Oh my
like
God,
that.
it was like
Well, overpriced.
It's
Very
so
silly.
bad.
The
Yeah.
prices are so high.
And they're like, build it yourself. And I'm like, you don't even give me the decency of just building it for me. You're just like, here's something really expensive.
Yeah.
That's honestly just a piece of plastic. Now you build it.
You can buy skateboard wheels with that money.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
just slap
And-
skateboard
and,
wheels
like,
and look at that stuff.
I mean, like, the price itself is already, like, annoyingly frustrating.
Yeah,
but,
it's
like,
exuberant,
oh my
very
God, it's
exuberant.
like, I think about the waste, but, like, I think in this conversation right now, it's now hitting me like, oh God, that's a lot of waste.
It's a lot of
It's
waste
like,
and a lot
it's
of money.
wrong on multiple levels.
Yeah, it's insane.
And there needs to be an accountability for this. Like, it's
100%.
like, it's one of those things where it's like, people are like, well, I don't know, companies can do whatever they want. I'm like, can
Let's
they?
hope not.
I think a huge issue with this is like tech literacy. Like everywhere, like a lot of issues we have like in our society right now is just because of like literacy. And I don't mean like being able to read. I just mean like being able to like understand the materials being put in front of you. Like
Exactly.
who reads the terms and agreements for their devices
Nobody.
and their software?
Nobody.
Does anyone do it, or do you just hope the companies don't take advantage of you?
I mean, you throw it back like 30 years ago, people barely know what like a gigabyte is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like something as simple, like everyone knows what a gigabyte is now. You know, it's data. It's a little bit of data, or it's a lot of data. But you know,
I don't know.
It's hard to comprehend though when they're putting all these money or these dollar signs on everything.
Yeah.
Like just for example, when you want to say you crack your screen and you want a new phone and you haven't paid it off, like say your screen does not work. You bring it in and they're like, "Have you paid your phone off?" "Oh, you have it." "Well, there's nothing I can do for you." Like they literally will not try to like help you fix your phone if it's not paid off. If it's paid off, you have to buy a new one because if the screen is cracked, it's probably the same price to get a new phone
Yeah.
to get that fixed.
Yeah.
So it's just like,
You're trapped in a whirlpool designed by people who only want to like, you know, suck all of the money out of you. You know, they don't care what you do with the phone as long as you buy it and then you don't return it.
And like,
Even if it breaks.
it also impacts the environment. Like, I know that like that's a factor where people are like, who cares about the environment? And when I mean people, I mean usually these people, the companies, you know.
Yeah.
they
But
don't
like,
care.
you live on the planet, dude. It's like, why would you make it more difficult for your company in the future? You
Although
know?
apparently they might not be on Earth with Elon Musk trying to go
Yeah,
to
they're
Mars.
trying to go to the
yeah, they're all
moon.
trying to go.
Then they'll
Why
just
would
planned
you not-
obsolescence over there and it
Dude,
just all
have you
starts
seen
again.
Mars? I mean, as a kid, I'm like, Mars is cool. But like, I'm gonna be real. Like after 2 seconds, there, you're like, okay, I'm ready to go back home.
It's a red
Yeah.
desert.
Oh God.
But briefly to go back, the light bulb companies that I was talking about, this was back in the 1920s, right before World War II.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
Industrial.
They started it, and then Ford. So the Ford Model T was the most popular car in the United States in the early 1920s. I think it was upwards of 70% of Americans had a Ford Model T, and their profits very, very quickly dropped. Like they were not making as much money. To make more money, they realized that they needed to sell another car, but they had already designed the perfect car. So they basically just keep saying that the models are changing. That's how we get yearly car models, where it's slight improvements. It's like, 480 torque power, you know, it's a little bit more, or like the back can fold down a little
Should
bit.
we even get like better cars though, or is it just like it's round instead of square?
So-
That's
in
another model of planned obsolescence that was designed in the 1950s, again with cars, where they were added colors. Originally, all colors were basically just black. It was either black or white. And then they started adding car colors, and then they changed the shapes and stuff. This was Chevy versus Ford. Then Apple is basically the pinnacle. It's taking all of these elements of planned obsolescence to design the perfect thing to sell to people and, you know, quickly re-innovate. That's why there's a new phone model every year. That's why the bezels change slightly, the colors. There's like the rose gold one that everyone was losing their minds over a couple years ago.
They also definitely don't improve the phone to the maximum they can at that moment. They always take about like 25% or 50%.
Yeah, it's just a little bit better.
Yeah.
And it's all about aesthetics too.
I bet they're I bet they're not ethically made at all.
No.
Oh,
No,
It's like
not
even
even.
worse.
I don't think there's a
mining-
single part of it.
The mining of the precious materials to go into this, by the way, which we are like very quickly running out of, and it's very hard to recycle these materials, are like not ethically.
No.
So just
Like
capitalism
the whole
is the worst.
chain, the whole chain from beginning to end is just corrupt all the way through.
Yeah.
This whole topic, like everything about it is completely messed up, and most people don't know about it, but they felt the effects. Like I talked about with the phones, like you felt that.
Oh my god.
Aisha's felt
we
that.
talked
Jace
about
has
that.
felt that. You know, that's why we don't prefer Apple because we get frustrated with that. But Samsung and Android and all these other phones, they're just as guilty because they follow the trail that Apple makes. They follow their path.
Ironically, I have a sorry out of order sticker.
There you go.
on my
Like
phone,
literally, it just all flows into it. It's super unfortunate, and it's a thing that more people should be at least knowing about, so you can make more informed decisions and understand where your rights are. Those corporations don't want you to have rights. They want to sell you a thing and forget about it.
They don't care about
They
you
don't
or
care
the
about you
environment.
or
Throw
the
the whole
environment.
corporation away.
Yeah, throw the whole corporation away. Hold them accountable. That's the biggest thing we can do right now. Is hold them accountable and make smarter purchases. It's not your fault. You're a victim in this situation. We're all victims in this. Like there's nothing we can do to like immediately resolve this. We can just make the decisions to be more educated about this and just try to move forward, making better financial decisions.
Yeah, and if you're not in the place where you can be be able to have control over your finances, like whether it be you don't have much money, you're living paycheck to paycheck, or maybe you're a minor and you're like, my parents control my money. Definitely just reading up on this, and research has shown that if you act like something is an emergency, the other people around you will act like it's an emergency. So you could be that start to the people in your area to be realizing like, oh shit, we gotta do something.
Yeah.
Because while corporations do need to make the change, they make changes based on the consumer base.
Yeah.
So if we're like, we don't want this, you have to give this to us or else we're not going to buy from you, they will make changes to continue to make that profit, even if it's less profit than they made before.
Yeah, because you have that purchasing power. That purchasing, they listen to your dollar. They don't listen to your voice, they listen to your dollar, because that's all they care about getting. If they can get your dollar better, then they're going to listen to that. So wave your dollar in front of them, try to get them going on the right track. You know what I mean? Obviously, if you can. Not everybody has that option.
Yeah.
But it's just good to be informed about it so you can know how corporations are taking advantage of you. Because they are. That's what this is. They're taking advantage of you.
Yeah. But even if you're younger, if you have parents or older family members, if they come to you about advice about tech, you can steer them in a better direction.
Yeah.
Where they do have better control of right to repair, even if we don't have laws around it. Making sure you choose an Android company, which is open source, versus Apple, because they are cheaper. You are able to replace stuff a little bit easier, and you do have more control over the software.
Yeah. And you know, it's all about starting that conversation. That's the biggest thing right now, is starting that conversation, getting people involved in your community, like Jace was saying. You know, send a letter to your representative, your governor or whatever. Let them know that this is an issue that you care about as a citizen of whatever state you live in. You know, bring this to their attention. You know, or the city council even. Just work that level. Let them know that, hey, this is something that my community cares about. I don't want corporations taking advantage of me. Can you represent me? That kind of thing.
Going to your state meetings are super important.
Yeah.
Like, barely anyone ever shows up to that, so if you show up, they're gonna listen to you.
Yep.
Because
Yeah.
you're the only person in the room. Like, that made me
Yes.
seem, like, really scary. But honestly, like, if you, they're there because they want to serve you, hopefully. And at the state level, there is, like, less corruption usually.
Yeah.
So, like, if you show up to that meeting, like, if it's on, like, we have a lot of them on Zoom now, and a
Yeah.
lot of them plan to stay on Zoom to capture more people. So go to that Zoom, have your black box with your name on it, and just
Yeah.
be, like, typing in the chats, like, hey, like, I'm concerned about this issue, like, are there any policies around it, or is
Yeah,
there
can we
anything that's
can we push
happening?
anything forward? Can we start getting can we bring this to a vote? Put it to a state vote, a city vote, national vote. That's the goal, is to get this to a national vote, get this to the Supreme Court or something where they can be like, hey, corporations cannot abuse citizens like this. They can't manipulate you into buying a new thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's the end goal of this whole conversation.
Like, to have things pass at a federal level historically, there's a certain number of states you need to meet, but it's less than 50, I believe. So, like, I think it's like 43 or 48. If you can get that many states on board with these laws, the federal law will also follow to change.
Yeah. Because they're just going to do this over the whole world. Sorry, what were you going to say?
I was gonna say it starts local.
Yep,
you know,
starts local.
be
That's the
involved
biggest thing.
locally.
I did want to point out, side note wise,
Yeah.
that like there's advertisements for like iPhone companies and whatnot. The way they try to advertise like getting a new phone is that like everyone's in line waiting to get a new phone.
Mm-hmm.
And then it made me think like, okay, so it seems like the way they're advertising everything is that they're trying to make this a normal thing. And I feel like they have normalized this idea of just buying a new phone or laptop every year.
Mm-hmm.
And like,
With the exclusive colors. They
Yeah.
build on that FOMO.
and like, it's bananas to me. Cause like, I think every time I saw that ad, I'm like, who is waiting in the line to get a new phone?
And there's always someone.
Yeah.
Yo, I buy my
uh,
phone online. Like, I ain't waiting in line at a store.
No.
It's getting delivered
And
to
it's
me.
like-
Yeah, I feel you.
like I don't know. Like for me, what my mom has a tendency to be like, "Here's a new phone," and I'm like, I don't really. I love
Thank you, Mom, but
I don't need this.
yeah.
But it is annoying that like the phone slowly degrades over time, and
Yeah.
I think like I didn't want to get off topic of what
No,
you
you're
guys were
good,
saying. Okay. But I want to get back by saying that like it is a problem. Like it seems like we're complaining like in a small way, but like it's a big issue.
Yeah.
It impacts like everything.
Yes.
And like we
100%.
talked about like how all of these things are just like bad because of it, from the ethical issues, from the environmental issues, from the fact that it just robs you in general.
Yeah.
It's all bad. It's like there needs to be accountability, because if this is just this is rampant, it's going to hurt everyone, not just us.
Yeah.
And so we need to make a change for that, for sure.
Yeah, and on that note, I hope you guys will tune in for the next part of this.
Yep.
This is just the beginning of the conversation. If anything we've talked about like doesn't make sense, or you want more clarification, feel free to send a comment or
Yep.
like email us.
Please.
We'll have our info somewhere here
Right here.
on your page,
Mm-hmm.
somewhere on the screen. But
I feel like Mike Wazowski from Monsters Inc. I'm on the magazine.
yeah, but like if any of this doesn't make sense, like we want to make this conversation accessible. If
Yeah.
like if anyone like can come into Mosaic, if you want to be a guest on the show, like
Yeah.
feel free
Hit us
to
up,
contact
please.
us. Like
I just walked in.
yeah, you
He
just
literally,
walked in.
yes, this man literally just walked in. We were like, hey, come on to the podcast. That could be you. You could be the next Max.
Yep.
Thanks for tuning in, Max.
Thank
Yeah.
you for
Yeah,
having
thank you
me.
for coming. Yeah,
Yeah, thank you for
seriously,
having me. I
appreciate that.
appreciate it. This is fun.
No.
Again, Jace, Max, Aisha,
Aisha.
other Max. Have a great day.
See you
Do wanna
next
do
time.
A closing clap, like just.
Oh.